So I thought I'd make a video on the keto diet and why exactly I wouldn't really recommend it for most people. Now, please note, I've been a type 1 diabetic for approximately 32 years. I haven't got any problems with my eyes, I haven't got any problems with my feet, my legs, all the rest of it. Because I do understand diets well, I do understand insulin well, all the rest of it, and diabetic or diabetic weighted facts. So, with regard to the keto diet as a whole, I always thought it would come out at some point, and I have actually heard sometimes this has happened. It would basically do, in a lot of cases, more damage than good. Because if you consider these as some simple factors I've learned quite well as a diabetic. So, if you eat purely fat, let's just say fat or meat based diet, you completely avoid any carbohydrates, potatoes, anything like that, you completely stick away from it. If we're going to apply what apparently the keto diet is meant to be for, basically mostly meat, you're basically not doing anything to give you short-term calories or simply carbohydrates. Carbohydrate itself is supposed to be for your energy when you do things. For example, you go for a walk, you run, you jog, you go to work or something else. That's why in general you need carbohydrates. Now, if for example purposes you eat take extreme, you eat a colossal amount of carbohydrate, then yes, you will definitely put on fat, or yes, you would definitely become more unhealthy in most cases, unless, for example, purposes you have an incredibly high metabolism rate or you're very physical in whatever you're doing. The same sort of thing can be applied if you eat purely meat. If you eat purely meat and you completely kick out carbohydrates, you have basically no short-term carbohydrate, short-term energy. You're basically just relying on your stored basically fat. So that basically means your fat itself is then turned from fat into basically carbohydrate, and then that fat itself they try and force in carbohydrate, that then results in you being quite often you have fat goo problems, shortness of breath, or you simply become worn out because you're going into your fat storage rather than you're going into carbohydrates is what you should be doing. Any single diet as a whole, if you're going to diet. I mean, for example, I've lost myself approximately 5 stone. How did I lose 5 stone? More exercise, better diet. That's it. I didn't do an outrageous extreme thing like a keto diet. I didn't do any of these weird diets. And I have to admit, I actually have tried these diets, these sort of things, a range of different things. And I've always found it kind of goes to the same old conclusion. It will only work these extreme diets if you take it very, very extreme, which often gives you health problems or makes them sick or something like that. But instead, the right way to do dieting, if that is your goal to lose weight or get fitter, whatever you want to call it, is to simply cut down. So make it simple. If you take, say, 5,000 calories per day, if you cut it down to, say, for argument's sake, 4,500, you will generally lose weight or whatever your calorie count is. Everyone is slightly different, so there isn't really a guaranteed right amount of carbohydrate or calories per day. It depends, of course, what you are, your height, your genetics, all rest. So if you're male and female, all rest it. So you always just want to make small cuts. So for example, if it's instead, say, make it another example. So if it's say you take say 4,000 calories per day, if you cut it down to say 3,500, you will generally lose weight even if you don't do anything extra because you're simply cutting down the calories. But if you want to speed it up, then obviously do more extras. For example, I use kettlebells. I go for walks. I do boxing exercises. I do squats quite often and a range of things. That's how exactly I was able to lose weight, and that's why people keep asking me quite often is, how do you lose the weight? How are you not as fat as you feel rested? Which makes sense. I mean, for example, if you consider my trousers, waist wise, when I first started this diet, before I started basically losing weight, my trouser size was approximately 48. I'm now down to 32. Now, I obviously still need to lose a bit of weight, about a 1 or 2 stone approximately, and that will be it basically done, but I will still keep eating healthy and I will keep doing exercise because I find it fun and I find it enjoyable. But this is again the right way to do a diet compared to always extreme things. And please note, I actually have asked doctors I've spoken to about keto diet. I asked them, what do you actually think of that? And they have, to be blunt, in a lot of cases told me they consider it quite dangerous because you're basically forcing yourself to such extreme levels, which most people can't do, which basically means in a lot of cases you'll simply crash out. Anything you do which is too extreme, the majority of people will simply break, or they're simply not able to handle it, or if they can handle it, which some people can, cool, you will generally at some point find that it actually does damage your health. For example, if we use the examples given here, for the risk, possible side effects would be keto flu, where you have fat nausea, nutrient deficiencies due to restricted food groups, consumption, and potential negative impacts on heart health if saturated fats are overconsumed. So there is risk, like everything. Now, if you're telling me just make it simple, let's just say you're very overweight. Make it simple, you're very overweight. Doesn't matter why, you're just very overweight. Now, if you said to me, you have to lose a shit ton of weight for some reason, so make it simple. Say you're going to join, say, the army, and for whatever reason you need to lose a lot of weight to get accepted into fitness or sign up for a job. If that is the case, then try it. But like always, get medical advice. See your doctor, see your nurse, see as many people as possible and ask advice until you find what exactly works for you. For example, I found one of the easy ways to lose weight is simply going for walks or simply using my kettlebell. You might say, I hate using kettlebell or I hate walking. Cool. Cycle. Cycle. Use a rowing machine. Do squatting. You do yoga. You have all the options in the world to whatever you prefer. I mean, for example, if you really like going for runs or jogs, then start running or jogging. If you, for example, purposes, you just prefer some sort of sport thing instead, then join a rugby club, join a boxing club, or join some other club which involves you doing physical sports. You have an unlimited ways to lose weight if that's your goal, and that's basically why I would never recommend keto diet unless you have got to basically medically approved by different people who know their stuff, good doctors, good nurses, good physicians, all the rest of it. See as many people as possible. If they say it's good or if they think that's a good idea, then go for it. But always seek medical advice from good quality doctors and nurses who then can give you the guidance you need to tell you if this is right, rather than people doing this and it seems to pretty often fail because they do it too extreme. Everything you do regarding making slight improvements to your life, you're always best to do things like this, slowly. Not like that, or like that. You should go like that. Slight improvement, slight improvement, slight improvement until you get to your goal. I hope it makes sense to you. Hope you have a good day, good week, and thank you. Bye.